Welcome to episode 49 of the Rebel Army podcast, the official podcast of Cork City Football Club. And this week we meet the new boss, Ger Nash. Yeah, we said it last week. We're back in for the podcast and we said we'd have the long form exclusive. I'm joined as always by Aaron. We have it.
We have it. Funnily enough, just as the podcast was coming out last week, I was learning what was happening. So we knew we'd have it lined up. And here we are. He's going to be joining us in a couple of minutes in here. So,
and I'm sure everyone's kind of waiting for that. Rather than us going over all last weekend's fixtures first, I think we probably bring the main man himself in. I think just judging by the kind of online chat and all that, that's what they're waiting for. A good, I suppose, find out what it's all about, what he's all about, his views and stuff for the future.
I'm sure that's natural when there's a new manager in. Everybody wants to hear from him. You saw it over the weekend, even after the game in Dublin on Friday. The media were straight over. He didn't even actually manage the game, but the media were straight over for a post-match interview. So I suppose we won't keep people waiting any longer, will we?
Better get stuck in. Welcome to the podcast, Joe.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
So you just... When did you arrive in Cork? Saturday, was it?
I arrived in Cork in the very early hours of Saturday morning. Yeah, I drove down straight from the Pats game in Dublin. So I arrived in the middle of the night. Yeah.
So the Pats game probably was, in many ways, you probably saw maybe the best and the worst of City this season in the same game. What are your thoughts after seeing it?
Well, that's not the first time that's been said to me since the game, so that's maybe an accurate reflection. For me, I was really pleased with what I felt in the dressing room from the players. Really pleased with the good job the staff had done during the week. I'm really pleased with the mentality of the players and what I found in the dressing room in terms of the passion they have for the club and how much they want to do well in the club. Obviously, everyone was devastated with the result after the game. That's clear for everyone to feel, everyone in the city to feel. But I was really, really happy with what I found in the dressing room and some of the people in there and how some of the people spoke at that time. And the most important thing now is that obviously we're preparing for Friday night and we put that right and we hopefully have a different feeling.
So, like a lot of people, your name will be maybe new to a lot of our supporters. They're listening in. They're probably curious about who this guy is. He's coming. It's your first time with the League of Ireland. Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely, yeah. It is.
Yeah. Like obviously you're not new to football. You were a player. You played on underage level. You played with the likes of Leixlip, Belvedere, and then went to Ipswich. Was it? And you had a small career there before you got injured.
Yeah. I guess like most players back when I was at that age, I went to England at 15 and I joined Ipswich Town when the team was in the Premier League and joined there as a young player, and I spent 4 years there as a player and before sort of beginning my coaching career, so I finished quite young in terms of me playing career. I suffered a lot of injuries unfortunately and didn't have the career I wanted to have.
And what age did you finish at?
I was 19. 19.
That's like, and you stayed there. You didn't decide to just come home and do something else.
No, I was really fortunate, I guess. We had a couple of people there who sort of really looked after me, and probably from an holistic point of view, looked after me, I would say. And maybe they saw something in me to potentially be a coach down the line or whatever. But a couple of people looked after me and offered me the opportunity to sort of begin a coaching career. At a young age, which I'm really grateful for now. And so I stayed there. I joined the coaching staff and I was there for a long time, progressing and developing and trying to improve and working under a sort of variety of managers. So I had some good times, and I was really fortunate to work with some good people, both in the academy and also some good managers and first team coaches and stuff as well.
So as a young coach at the time, like in your 20s, you probably definitely were like a sponge, I'd imagine, to whoever was the first team coach of Ipswich as well. Were you bending there, you're kind of listening to what they were saying? Like, would you have had access?
Yeah, again, I was really fortunate, I suppose, because we were on the same training ground, and sometimes that's the case. Clubs in England, sometimes it's different, same as it is in Ireland. So I was really fortunate. We shared the same training ground, and again, I was fortunate to be probably around people who were open and were willing to share, and it was very much the whole club was together. It's a one club town, so everybody was sort of together, and the first team coaches I worked with, the managers that I worked with, were all really open to watching sessions or whatever it might have been as a young coach, giving you the time of day. So again, another sort of fortunate experience for me in terms of my development.
So were you doing all your badges then with UEFA and stuff like that, or did that come at a later stage? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, that's how it works. I started my coaching journey, and then you begin the badges, and it takes quite a long time, to go from the sort of the start of them to all the way through to the pro license is obviously the sort of highest one you can get. So that was a whole body of work, and that was something I did over quite a long time. But they're good experiences, and look, every coach has to have those qualifications. But I think for me, my biggest piece of luck is probably being able to be around some really good people, I think, and they've probably been really formative in my journey.
And they put trust in you then, I suppose. And you took over then, was it the under-18s was your first kind of proper, the under-18s of Ipswich?
Yeah, it's a long time ago now, but I was probably under-18s manager, maybe the early 2010, something like that. So I was under-18 coach for a number of years, and then I was under-21 coach, first team coach. So it sort of progressed and had a lot of experience in those roles over a good number of years. Under a variety of managers, but probably most of my time there was probably under Mick McCarthy and Terry Connor were the first team staff at the time.
So I suppose their Irish connection would have probably helped as well. Maybe they had a kind of, I suppose, a soft spot for the Irish connection back home, tried to look after somebody that had been through a tough spell of injuries.
I don't know, maybe, but I don't know what it was. But look, I'm really grateful to most of the managers I worked under, and probably Mick and Terry Connor especially are two that I worked most closely with in terms of with the first team and being around that environment the most. So they were great people to work for. Whether they were helping me out, I don't know. I hoped it was because I was pretty good at my job, but now you've put a bit of doubt in my mind there. So
sorry for
maybe that's what it was. Yeah. So
when Mick was on the podcast,
that's burst my bubble. Yeah.
Mick was on the podcast a few weeks ago when he was over in Cork actually for the Italian 90, and he actually mentioned about Terry Connors that one of the things that he always did was when he moved around was he brought his same unit with him. So he always surrounded himself with people he liked, he said, and that he could trust. So I'd imagine to get into that circle probably said a lot about your early days.
Look, I guess so. Look, I'm pretty fortunate to like to be able to think I can, I do have a very good relationship with Mick and pick up the phone to him, and that'll probably become even more important in the job I'm in now. But
definitely,
yeah, look, I'm really grateful to Mick and Terry, the two great people, and I was really fortunate to work closely with both of them.
And in those under-18s and under-21 squad, was there any player now that played for you in that period that maybe our listeners might know? Was there any maybe Irish players, or would there be any internationals from elsewhere that people would know today?
There was a lot of young players. We had some players from Ireland. There was a lot of young players who came through and played in the first team. Whether any of the City fans would be familiar with too many of them, I'm not sure. But there's some players who came through and played. There's also a lot of players who probably came through but then maybe found themselves in different clubs. So there's a young Cork striker called Aaron Drinan. He's a young player at City many years ago. So
we had his brother on last week.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, of course, he's there as well. So young Aaron at the time, came from City, and he's now forging a good career for himself. He was one player I remember in the group at the time, but look, there was too many to mention, to be honest. Probably can't remember them all.
So out of that, then a role came up with the FAI where it was a kind of high performance coach. That was what did that involve? Was that under kind of a specific structure? Was it the whole country? Was it regional?
Yeah. So how that came about was I think I was just turning 35 at the time, and I'd always had it in my head that I was going to return home. So the opportunity came up, and I thought it was a really good idea at the time. So I came back. Yeah, I worked across the west of Ireland. I worked closely with John Cotter as well, who's obviously got a good connection with the club. I worked closely with John and a couple of other people. The roles were actually really newly defined when we started. We were involved in player coach development, and probably the highlight of the role for me was sort of I did a little bit of opposition analysis for the senior team when Stephen Kenny was in charge. That was probably the highlight of the job for me in terms of that aspect. But to be honest, it was a very short spell, and I quickly found myself sort of missing being on the grass every day, missing the coaching aspect day to day, and I quickly found myself back across the water.
Yeah, and a really interesting role with, like, at Aston Villa, a club that obviously would be known for producing a lot of youth players coming through their squads and a lot of kind of talent over the years. You took up their under 18s position, so that was probably an exciting role.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It's a huge club. And maybe from the outside probably didn't understand it until you're there. But it's a really big club, and
in a big city too.
Yeah, and the club sees itself really as certainly a club that should be in the top six, and that was the mentality of the owners at the time. That was still the owners, in fact, but that was the mentality of the owners. That was the mentality of everybody at the club, and you can see the success they've had under the owners and the technical director and the fantastic manager that they've appointed in the last couple of years. So it was a brilliant experience, and it was probably when you talk about environment, it was probably an environment where there was pretty much no excuses, because the finances the club had, the size of the club, the expectations from the fans, it demanded success, and it was a really good experience to work there.
And I know recently they won the FAU Cup, so like they're obviously very strong, and I think they won a league as well. So they're obviously a very strong youth setup there. Do they kind of graduate up through the levels, or is it that you're recruiting guys in at 18? So how does that work with Villa?
Yeah, so there's a look. Obviously, it's a huge operation. It's hard to describe in a sentence or a phrase. But it's a huge operation. The academy is massive. It's almost like a separate entity compared to the first team. So there's recruitment of players across all the ages. But yeah, definitely at sort of ages of 16, around the age of 16, it's as competitive as near enough any club in England in terms of looking to recruit the best players from areas where you can sign players. So if that was Scotland and Celtic and Rangers, then the club would heavily invest in players from clubs like that, and the best players from clubs like that.
So to go after players from Scotland, probably Northern Ireland and Wales as well, I'd imagine. Yeah. So kind of active. So you stayed there for about a year or two, and then would I be right in saying when you went to Sweden, are they like a sister club to Aston Villa? Like how does that work?
No, they're not. I don't know. I don't quite know where that was. Where that came from, that one. But no, I was Aston Villa for two great years, and then the opportunity came up to go to a Swedish club called Gais of Gothenburg in the Allsvenskan, and it was an opportunity to go and work with the first team and step into that environment, which is probably a really good sort of building block for where I am now. And so the opportunity came to go there, and I went there and had a brilliant time, brilliant experience. It was a great club. It was probably maybe the happiest I've been in my career today, to be honest. It was a really good environment, and I'm full of praise for the people I worked with there. It was tough to say goodbye to some of the people there when I left last week.
Are they still in season?
Yes.
So was that your second season or your first season with them?
Second season. So it's obviously a split season in terms of it's the calendar year. So yeah, I joined at the end of the English season.
Okay.
Which is the middle of the.
They play summer football.
It's the same as League of Ireland, so it's pretty similar. The season starts a little bit later, so in Sweden we played. I think there's 10 games have been played now out of a 30-game season.
Okay.
So sort of a third of the way through when I left last week.
And how were they doing?
The club were sixth I think when I left. So sixth when I left.
And in terms of the setup there, it's obviously a professional team, is it?
Yeah, it's a fully professional team. Yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty big club. There's a couple of big teams in Gothenburg, sort of like a Liverpool Everton type thing. So the club was more like the Everton up against IFK, or a bigger club. But a big club in its own right, and sort of you'd have maybe 12 to 15,000 in most games. Some of the bigger games would be sold out, and again, it's the league surprised me a little bit when you go and play against your AIK Stockholms and teams like that, just 30,000 to sell out. So
some of them have been successfully getting into group stages of Champions League.
Absolutely.
And various tournaments like Europa League and stuff.
No, it's a good league, a strong league, and it was a great experience.
So I suppose the question begs, like, you're with a team with 12,000-15,000 in Sweden. a great opportunity for any young coach. Why walk away from it to come to the League of Ireland?
I think it's for another great opportunity. So I think I've been lucky enough to be offered a job that I think a lot of people would want, and I see it as a great opportunity to first role in management as a head coach. I see it as a real opportunity for me to do well at a club that has, is a really big club in Irish football, and I think a club that can hopefully go places in the years to come.
Did you have a look at the team first, or did you look up YouTube or anything like that to look at the recent performances, or look at LOI TV or anything like that to kind of?
Look, I'm sort of aware of, I follow the League of Ireland quite closely anyway, and across lots of the teams. I have a lot of friends in the league. So I can't say I was watching the game on the Friday night, because I wasn't. That wasn't the case. But look, I absolutely did my homework, and I looked into the squad. I looked into what could be achieved, and look, I'm delighted to be sitting here now.
Have you been to Turner's Cross?
Of course I have, yeah. I've been to Turner's Cross many times.
Yeah. So you're probably excited about, I know that's over a week away before that happens, but I suppose the shade, the kind of atmosphere that brings, and that experience, I suppose, is something that you're looking forward to, I'd imagine.
I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't spent any time thinking about it, to be honest. I've been pretty busy, but look, I can't wait. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I went to watch Shelbourne and Drogheda last night up in Talca Park to get ahead of me preparation. So I drove up and back there last night, and I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I've been to Turner's Cross a few times, and the atmosphere, I think, is as good as anywhere in Irish football when the city fans are making the noise they can and they're behind the team. And I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for it, but I've got other things in my mind as well in terms of preparing for Friday night, I suppose.
Yeah, so that obviously it's a bit of a whirlwind for you. Like, you only flew in on Friday, went to the match, came down here on early hours of Saturday morning. You've obviously had time on the training ground with the lads, but only 1 or 2 sessions, I'd imagine, at this point.
Yeah, that's right. We'll also train tomorrow and Thursday before the game against Galway. But it's been a short time obviously since I've been appointed. But yeah, I've got to know the players as best I can, and had lots of chats with a number of them. So far, I've had a really good response. There was a really good response on Friday night, I thought. There's some of the things I asked the team to do at half time, and also I think just in general there was some real positive signs in the performance. Look, I've had a couple of days with the team and the staff, and so far it's been really good environment. Really impressed with the mentality of the players, and we can't wait for Friday.
As someone that has come from that kind of bigger, I suppose, the overall look of teams, and we're talking about structures and under 18s and academies and stuff like that. Like, I presume you're linking in now with the likes of Liam and stuff like that. Obviously, himself and Greg were taking over the team last week, but are you looking at the bigger picture, looking at the kind of under 20s, under 18s, and have you had a chance to kind of have a chat about those type of things? Yeah,
so first of all, Liam's been by my side ever since I came to the club, and he's been fantastic. He's done a brilliant job in the academy for a number of years now, but he's also more than capable of stepping up and working with the first team. So Liam's been a great help since I joined the club, as Greg Bulger as well, in his sort of playing and coaching role capacity. In relation to the young players, on Saturday afternoon, Liam and I watched some under 20 players playing, 17 players playing a sort of in-house game at Bishopstown. Very good. And managed to get my eyes on some of the really good young players we have at the club. And look, to be honest, that's probably one of the things that also drew me to the club. Is I'm well aware of the talent in the academy. I'm well aware of the good young players coming through this club that have already come through the club in recent years, and that really excites me. I've probably got a background in working with young players, and I think it's the future for Irish football and the way clubs need to go. And I think that there's some potentially really good players at this club.
And there obviously has been a big talking point in the League of Ireland this season with, I suppose, Oran Cahill, Mason Melia, Michael Noonan, all these players that aren't even 18 that are scoring goals or creating assists, or just, I suppose, getting attention. Obviously, Mason has been, signed a deal with Spurs and stuff, but a lot of them are going to probably represent their country, whether at under 18s, under 21s, or whatever, in the next while, or senior team. And there must be more in the pipeline, you'd imagine.
Do you mean in the country, or you mean in Cork?
Yeah, in Cork even,
Yeah, I think in Cork it's pretty clear that the job that's being done. There's some good young players coming through the club. I think what all good young players will need in the country is the opportunity to play. So I think the League of Ireland is at the moment is showing that for the really good 16, 17, 18-year-olds, the opportunity is there to play. Cahill has been in the team and gained great experience at a young age, and look, if I wasn't the manager, I'd pay into watching myself. So
yeah.
Look, I think that's the future of Irish football. As you say, the really talented ones will probably not spend too long in the League of Ireland, but they'll probably go and be the ones that go on and play in the international team. So I guess for the fans nowadays, there's probably and young kids all over the country, there's probably a chance to see future Irish internationals when they go and watch their local League of Ireland team on a Friday night.
And in your viewpoint, is it a case that if you're good enough, you're old enough, kind of a thing, like, or what is your view on playing younger players?
Absolutely, simple as that. If you're good enough, you're old enough. Absolutely, there's probably an easier time to put players into the team than others. That's maybe a factor sometimes. But yeah, generally, I think the best young players, they make you pick them as opposed to you picking them, because they show through their mentality or their talent that they're ready to play. So I think the very best ones, it's not hard to pick them.
In terms of then your style of play, like what can fans expect from the City team moving forward? What kind of style of play will you bring, or is it adaptive, or how does?
Well, this is the situation we're in. The first thing I'm looking for on Friday night is to go and win a game of football. We need to make some improvements in especially in the defensive aspects of the game. But in terms of what I want how they want the team to play, it's I think you saw real aspects of it on Friday night. To be really front-footed, take the game to the opposition. Give our passionate fans something to really get behind, and put in a passionate performance that shows, when teams come to play at Turner's Cross, that we need to be really difficult to play against. We need to play without fear, take teams on, and represent the area the way I think it probably comes across, and a lot of the people that come from here come across to me.
Obviously, the transfer window opens up in a couple of weeks' time. Will you be kind of looking to recruit some players in, or have you had that discussion with Dermot yet?
Yeah, we're always the simple reality is we're going to look to put the best Cork City team on the pitch that we can. Conversations are going on. We've got some players on loan. We've got some players we're looking at. Like every club in the country, it isn't as simple as let's have a meeting, let's sort this out, and then it's all done and dusted in half an hour. It doesn't work like that. It can be quite complicated, so it's always ongoing. But look, we want to put out the best team we can for Cork City to give the fans success.
Is that a challenge? Because obviously, there's a lot of players that are on loan deals, and some of them might be called back by their clubs. We don't know what the scenario is, but is that uncertainty kind of a bit of a challenge in your early days in the club?
I don't know if it's a challenge, but look, it's the same in every football club. It's always the same. Any first team environment, you have your work transfer window, and everyone will have a plan and what they want to do, but it's not always the case. You get your first choice, or your second choice, or your third choice. It's quite complicated. So it's an aspect of the job. It's another aspect. You're preparing the team for a game. You're looking after the players. You're looking after the staff. You're thinking about future transfers. You're dealing with the media. There's loads of different aspects to it. So it's another aspect, really important one, and it's vital. So definitely putting a lot of attention towards it. But it's the challenges. It's just part of the job.
It's part of the job. I suppose on the flip side of that, at this time of the year, a lot of guys are out of contract in the UK. Maybe Irish players that potentially could be snapped up, whereas in the winter they don't tend to be there in the mid-season. So there could be opportunities arise as a result of that.
Yeah, look, I'm not biased. Whoever there's a good player, wherever they are, I'm not too worried about it. I think your point is valid, and I think there's also, when you think about the context as well, you look at, if we're signing a player on the 1st of July, what's their last 6 weeks been? If they've been on holidays for 6 weeks, then
that's a difficult one.
We need them to come in and hit the ground running. And so if you're talking about like the British-based players, then in the Scottish leagues, in the English leagues, they'll have been on holiday. So it's not as simple as that, because we can't afford to have them come in here and effectively they're playing their pre-season when we go and play an important league game. So it's not as simple as that, but that's just one aspect when you talk about the the English league. But look, I've just come from another country where it's the same sort of calendar season. So if you recruit a player from there, it wouldn't be the same. So look, the bottom line is if we can find good players that can help the team, then that's what we look to do.
So you might actually maybe pay a visit to Sweden again. There might be a couple of players up in Sweden.
Well, there's definitely some good players there. So look, we'll have to wait and see. But look, it's also really important for me that I'm just fresh in the door.
Yeah.
I'm getting used to the players. I've been really impressed so far with what I've seen. We've got a number of good players. We've got a number of good players to come back into the group as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them. I'm excited by them. So look, I'm really happy with the group of players that we have. I'm really looking forward to working with them. That's my focus at the moment on a day-to-day basis, and recruitment will look after itself.
And I suppose the other big question that a lot of fans will have: will you be based in Cork? Will you be living here?
Completely, yeah, absolutely, 100%. I will be totally committed to the club and living in the area. So yeah, that's a really big part of the appeal of the job to me.
I presume you haven't an assistant manager as of yet, have you? Or is that something that you're going to work out, or what's happening?
No, at the moment, like I said, Liam Carney is by my side at the moment, and we're down the line with discussions with bringing in an assistant, and again. There's lots of factors in that. Again, a few days ago I was in a different country working, so it can take time to sort all these things out. But yeah, well, absolutely, there will be that will be happening, and when that's all done and dusted, we'll get that announced.
Yeah, so but it's no harm probably to have somebody that's been in touch with the club all along to be on your side just for those initial few weeks anyway, I'd imagine. Like
I said, really lucky. Liam's been great, and Greg Bulger as well. Important part of the dressing room as well. So look, I'm just really excited for Friday. Really looking forward to it. Can't wait to get started. Really positive about everything, and just can't wait.
Yeah, and I suppose, look, at this point, there's probably not much more we can ask you because you're only getting into the job, but I'm sure we can definitely get you back into the hot seat in a couple of weeks' time when you're a bit more settled in and maybe a couple of fixtures under your belt and stuff. You haven't even had a friendly to play yet. Ger, thanks a million for coming on to the podcast, and we wish you best of luck. And I'm sure every City fan is completely 100% behind you, and best of luck Friday.
Thank you very much. Can't wait to get going. Thank you.
Well, there we go. Exclusive with the new boss. I'm sure we've got a few new listeners maybe this week on the back of that now as well.
A couple of interested parties. I know a couple of interested parties up and down the country you'd imagine will be tuning in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you'd imagine the media, because I know up to now it was only small sound bites, so now we got a bit of a longer one. So
yeah, he did. I think he did. He spoke to Rory O'Hagan on Saturday. He spoke to Trevor Welch, and he did a couple of the newspapers as well. But bit of a longer one here for us, which is great for the podcast.
Well, that's the advantage we have being the official podcast, I suppose. There has to be some perks to it. So
it's exciting times.
Obviously, we discussed there about Friday night. Another loss. I suppose we won't dwell on it too long. It's a case of moving on. He said himself he's looking forward to the game on Friday night away to Galway, so I suppose that's where the attention is now, really, rather than looking at the past.
That's it,
with a new regime in place,
There's no point in Ger looking backwards. There's no point to any of us looking backwards because none of that can be changed. So yeah, as you said, it's all eyes on Friday.
All eyes on Friday against another former manager. The first man that was in charge while you were at the club, was it?
Yeah, he was. We overlapped for a little while, yeah. But they're they've been on a bit of a run. They wouldn't be happy with themselves, we're going to be going up there looking for a win, and they're very much going to be looking for a win as well. So it'll be a great one.
They've went from being kind of near top to all of a sudden being the team above us.
Yeah, sure. Look, we say it every week about how tight the division is. That proves it. Look at Bows as well. Bows are.
Yeah.
They were down. They were one place above us only a couple of weeks back. Now they're right up in the mix at the top.
And you often talk about people talk about this 6-pointer type of thing. You can see it in this type of scenario, like a win there, tightens things up dramatically all of a sudden.
Absolutely.
Whereas, a win for Galway, depending on other results, it widens the gap. So it is a very important fixture. Every fixture is important, but I suppose for Ger's first one, it's a huge one.
Yeah. And again, the connection with John Caulfield in charge there, the old Cork City connection. Yeah. You'd expect a good City crowd to travel up as well.
I would,
all signs are pointing that will be the case. So all exciting, all go.
away from the men's first team. The women got a point last week. They got a draw.
A point up in DLR, yeah. Yeah, it was a much changed team. Frank was forced into a couple of changes. We had injuries and suspensions and players away. So a very different looking starting 11. We had Amy McCarthy came off the bench, the latest in a long line just this season of academy players to step up. She did brilliantly well when she came on as well. Should have had a free kick over just coming into the box, which could have changed it. But nothing to mention, Eva Loftus came on in the game before that as well. So again, another young player coming in to make a start or make an appearance over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, a point on the road. Kind of different now again this week because it switches to the All Ireland Cup. So a couple of more changes you'd imagine in the 11.
Yeah.
And so the league's on hold now for a couple of weeks, and we're on the road to Belfast on Saturday.
Belfast. That's a
Galway Friday and Belfast Saturday, yeah.
Are you going to come down and go back up again?
No. I'm going to... I have it all planned out, so I'm actually going to go up to Galway, kind of go halfway across after the game,
And then
stay halfway across and do the rest of the trip on Saturday. So there's no point coming. I know I always go up and down, but I think this weekend now is pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, that's about maybe a minimum 7 hours just to journey. Well, that's actually more. So it's 6 up and down to Galway, and it's probably the bones of 8.
Google Maps is telling me from my house anyway. It's 5:10 I think to Cliftonville and Belfast. So yeah. So I won't be doing that.
Well, that's for traffic, I'd say.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, hopefully because that's a hike. But
Check it again tonight.
I know. I'll check it. Yeah, at midnight or something when there's no traffic on the roads. But yeah, no, I'm going to go up to Galway on Friday, go halfway across the country somewhere, and do the rest of it then on Saturday and drive home after the game. That's
good experience stuff for the women as well to be going up to play the likes of Clifton.
Do you know what it is and it isn't? Because for trips like this in the All Ireland Cup, you want to go to new grounds. Every year of the All Ireland Cup, we played Cliftonville now, so you're kind of no offense to Cliftonville, but I'd like to see another ground up there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had them at home last year, but we had them away the first year. We also had Crusaders away, but there's other clubs from the Northern Irish Football League in there as well. I don't even know who's left. I think Linfield are in one of the groups. We've yet to draw against them, but you'd like to see a new ground. But to be fair, Cliftonville's ground, Solitude, I think it's called. It's quite a nice spot. So the worst places to spend a Saturday afternoon.
I wonder, I remember, City playing with the likes of all those before in the Satanta Cup. Is there an appetite for something like that again in the men's game?
I think it'd be great. But I think their league runs kind of, it's the winter league as well, so that's
the trouble.
Trying to line it up. It's just a tricky one.
It could be maybe, I don't know, you nearly have to do kind of maybe take the hit and do a pre-season thing for us or something, or for them, or
even through the summer if maybe for the teams who aren't in Europe.
Maybe
there's another competition for them to play in, and it's a pre-season competition. Something like that could work, maybe. Yeah, but that's the busy weekend. The girls are going up actually on Friday. They're going up the night before, to prepare properly and all that, which is great. But
and speaking of the women, Ciara Ward announced her squad for playing in Páirc Uí Chaoimh coming up in after the June weekend. It's only 2 weeks away.
Yeah, 2 weeks away.
2 weeks away. And 2 former Cork City players, Denise and Saoirse, both in the squad.
Brilliant to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant to see.
And Megan Connolly from Cork as well. She didn't play with.
We can't claim her, but she's one of our own.
So we have 3 Cork players in the squad, and probably 3 players have a good chance of probably starting.
You'd think so. Yeah,
definitely Denise will start anyway, and I'd imagine Saoirse's been in a run of form for Celtic, so would have a chance, I'd say, of getting a game, I'd imagine.
You'd imagine so on sort of on home turf as well in Cork. It'd be brilliant to see the 3 of them out there at the same time.
Yeah, so
and a big crowd as well, hopefully.
Hopefully a big crowd, yeah. And again, another football match, as in soccer. Yeah. I don't know.
Feels weird saying soccer, doesn't it?
Yeah. Soccer, to clarify.
Even when we're down there.
Not the Gaelic Games variety of football.
We'd be down there, having meetings about the Cork Super Cup coming up. And, people from the GAA are talking about football and we're talking about football, and you're in the conversation before you realise you're talking about 2 different sports.
Better not bring in the NFL lads because they call football as well. It gets fairly confusing.
You're overcomplicating it there completely now. We'll all be confused. But so we're down there talking about the soccer match in July, our own soccer match, which, by the way, we are always plugging it. Tickets are still on sale for the terraces. So corksupercup.com to get your tickets for that.
Yeah, and Celtic finished their league last week, so I don't know, they might have a cup match or something. but they'll be kind of wrapping up now. They'll be going on their holidays, and their next match probably then be us, maybe.
That's I'm not sure how their schedule is looking, but it's definitely the only game in Ireland. So, if you are a Celtic fan listening to this and you want to see Celtic, there's your opportunity. 8th of July at Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
And as we said, like, it's a big occasion. It's a chance to see Cork City down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh as well.
Yeah, I can't. I know I keep saying it. I cannot wait.
Connor last week said that in the podcast as well, that he's gutted that he's missing it, but that there was a buzz in the dressing room. I think it was just the lads taking on Celtic at Páirc Uí Chaoimh. You know, it is an occasion.
And to be honest, I think it's probably less so the fact that it's Celtic, but it's the fact that it's Páirc Uí Chaoimh is the thing, especially for Cork lads who everyone goes to Páirc Uí Chaoimh. It's the big venue in Cork, like it's the big stadium. So,
but what was interesting, what Connor said last week as well, was the fact that like he even got a kick out of playing against Stoke. You know, like you know, like we often forget about that. Like these teams, like Stoke, obviously at one stage were a Premier League team and obviously a Championship team, but you know they're a high level international players in their squads.
Yeah, absolutely.
Celtic will have international players in their squad. They're coming, you know, including 2 Irish internationals in Adam from Cork and obviously Liam as well. Obviously, and possibly what's his name as well. That was with Rovers as well, probably being their squad as well.
Johnny Kenny. Yeah, and look as well. It's their preseason, so there could be more. They could go off and sign some more players and come in, some more big names. But the other thing about those games, I suppose, look back at the Stoke game at Turner's Cross. Freddie Anderson played for Stoke against us in that game.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So,
and
now I'm not saying, we'll sign a load of Celtic players on loan, but like you get to see players in these games that you see again down the line without even realising you're going to see them again.
We said that before, like, you know, there's some great players. Like when Nicholas and Anelka played for West Brom down in Turner's Cross, like.
That's mad, isn't it?
You know, like there's kind of bizarre, you know.
Sure, Cristiano Ronaldo and Karim Benzema made their debuts against Shamrock Rovers in Tala.
In a friendly, yeah. So, like, you things, I remember seeing Vinnie Jones playing for Chelsea against Cork City.
Really?
Yeah.
That's class.
Bishopstown.
Slightly before
Dennis
my time.
Wise and all them players. You know,
there's a picture, actually, I know this is kind of more recent and it's underage internationals, which is different, but the FAI had up a picture of, I think it was Corey O'Sullivan from Shamrock Rovers marking Lamine Yamal in a
that's right.
under 17 Euros game only a couple of years ago.
You never know who's going to be on the pitch.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned this where Trossard and Leon Bailey were playing for Genk, wasn't it?
Yeah, and what's his name? Wilfred Ndidi was in that game as well, and neither of the three of them did anything against us, really.
It's like,
Stephen Beattie had Leon Bailey in his pocket for that game.
Yeah, so
it's mad.
You never know who's next.
Yeah,
to kind of come on the pitch and stuff like that. The Manchester United Academy played Cork City, I'd say maybe about 2012, 2013. Michael Keane was the centre back in that game, and he obviously went on to play for Everton.
Yeah.
And what's his name? There was another guy, Januzaj. He went on to play for Belgium. So there's always even young teams that come and play.
I think there was a Liverpool one recently enough as well, where did Alexander Arnold play at Turner's Cross?
I think so.
Like that?
Yeah.
Could be wrong now on that, but there was a game, I'm going to say 2014-15 maybe.
Like I'd say now, there could be anoraks now listening to this that they've probably maybe went to a match and then they've tracked the progress of players afterwards. Yeah. I guarantee they'd probably tell you now that there's been some other like famous players.
Huge names there would be, yeah.
I said actually I spotted Trevor Welch was doing a documentary for TG Cahir about George Best playing against
Cork
Celtic.
And do you know what? They were actually in at Monday Morning Memories last week. I think there was a couple of Cork Celtic players joined the lads and TG Cahir did a bit of filming at it as well, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I actually went to Monday Morning Memories myself on Monday. And
you watched an all match, did you?
I just randomly put on the Cup quarter final against Shamrock in Tala in 2016. And it was weird. I just put it on to have something on in the background, but it turned into everyone sat down and watched the full 90 minutes. It was great crack. Kind of reliving that team. It's funny, we were all getting into it like it was a live match, you know. Funny enough, Greg Bulger was playing and he went in at one point 2-footing someone. We were all up out of our seats, like it was brilliant. Watched Garrod Morrissey run in the show as well. Shawnee got a hat-trick up there. And when you watch it back, Shawnee could have had about 10 goals in that game, the amount of chances he had. There was another 2 or 3 cleared off the line.
He was unbelievable that season.
That year, phenomenal. But we were looking at it and back then Tala had the 2 stands. It's a cup quarter final, the place was empty. I was actually kind of shocked looking back at it. Like,
where was all the support then?
Yeah, I was mad. Yeah, but no, that was brilliant. It was nice to watch that back.
Yeah, and obviously that's every Monday. So
Every Monday, 11 o'clock, yeah, in for a cup of tea and a
there'll be
chat.
somebody down there for a cup of tea.
In the Easy Living Suite, a few biscuits as well.
Yeah, so it's a great opportunity to meet some people.
Yeah, no,
if
it's
you're into
brilliant.
football,
It's brilliant,
chatting away, and nice mix of supporters there as well. So it's great. It's a great social outing. That's what it's all about as well.
And what I like about it, that match was on, but we're talking about other old matches and other former players and stuff like that. It just it was literally like a walk down memory lane for an hour and a half. It was great.
Yeah, and it was actually, you speak about walking down memory lane. It dawned on me on Saturday as I saw Crystal Palace win the FA Cup. I said, the last time they were there, I never asked Damien Delaney about playing in the cup final when he was on the podcast last year. Like, must have been a huge moment that he played in the cup final. We never talked about
mentioned,
him.
yeah.
No, we talked about him getting that goal against Liverpool
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
But he played in the cup final, and then I was trying to think, was he the last? I wasn't sure whether Queeveen played in the cup final. Was he the last Cork man to play in the FA Cup final? Like, there was all these,
What year was it, Damien?
So he played,
16,
I think,
was it?
2016.
Yeah.
Dave Moyler had played before against Arsenal when they were 2-0 up against Arsenal. So there's been a few Cork City. So Dave Moyler and Damien Delaney, definitely two former Cork City players that have gone on to play in the cup final. I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to think playoff finals as well there.
Playoff finals. There's been a few. Conor Horan is from Cork, but he hasn't obviously played for City.
But were Coventry in one? Was Shawnee involved in one? I don't know.
I don't know if he made a team or not. He might have been on the bench.
They definitely were involved, actually, weren't they? They had a final
last season. No, the season before.
It was 2 years ago, I'd say. Yeah. I'll be honest, I don't pay enough attention to the championship to remember it, really.
And Bennett played in a playoff final at one stage as well, so
could well have, actually, yeah.
It could have been a few divisions down. Like, that's when Brentford weren't in the top tier. Like,
when they weren't a Premier League club, an established Premier League club, isn't it?
But it's conversations like that, and us going on a bit of a ramble there, but it's conversations like that will start on Monday morning. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly,
If you like a conversation about football,
that's
head
where
down to Turner's Cross.
That's where to go.
And the Easy Living Suite is lovely. It really is nice. And it's like a little mini museum as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant. There's a lot of old jerseys and old programs, memorabilia and stuff. So it is class in there. Do you know what? It's kind of a hidden gem in Turner's Cross. I know a lot of people don't go in there on a Friday night and stuff like that, but it is a hidden gem.
It is, yeah. No, it is. It's a hidden gem. We forgot to mention the academy. How did it go on last weekend?
There was only one game, actually.
Was that all?
Yeah, there was the women's under-19s were in the cup away to Waterford, and it was a 3-2 win there. So they've progressed to the next round of the cup, which is absolutely fantastic.
And how come the rest of them weren't playing? Was it internationals?
I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Tom McGrath scored for the Irish team as well.
It's internationals, yeah. I know there was an in-house friendly in Bishopstown between the 20s and 17s, which Ger was at. But I'm not sure why there was no games. It could be down to school times now as well, with exams coming up, maybe.
I know David.
There's fewer games.
David and Tom were representing the Irish. I don't know, it was under 16, but I know Tom scored. They won 5-2 or something against, I don't know who they're playing. They're playing some international team, but I saw, obviously you pay attention to your own players that are.
Yeah. And you see the social media posts if it's a Cork City related player with it, you pay more attention.
It was very Dublin based, like a lot of it. No, there's a couple of international lads as well, but and of course Jacob Ryan played the last game at Goodison Park at the weekend. He came back from an injury, and I'd imagine he'll be in the Irish squad that takes on Senegal and a few others.
You'd hope so, yeah. Yeah, you'd hope so.
So there's a lot of activity, but I suppose the most important thing, Galway United, Friday night, away, and then back at the Cross next week for Ger's first game at home.
Yeah, that'll be a big one.
That'll be a big
Shells
one.
next week.
Big one. Duffer coming down. Hopefully he's out of the trees at that stage.
He won't have much of a view from behind the stands in Turner's Cross anyway.
There's no grassy area in Turner's Cross anymore.
Unless he stood in the corner, the hill in the corner maybe. But no, I think the dugout might be a better place from now on that Friday.
Yeah. Hilarious scenes.
It was brilliant, I thought.
Yeah. So it's all those little things that make the League of Ireland quirky. Like. But that went a bit viral over the weekend.
That was class, yeah. I love a little viral moment like that.
Yeah, so who knows? Maybe Ger will have his own viral moment. But
we'll see.
Hope you enjoyed listening to this episode. Number
50 next week. 50 episodes.
50. Who's going to make it to number 50?
We'll have a player in. I've one lined up. I'm chasing him to see when he's free. There we go. Hello.
Hello.
How are we?
How are you?
Welcome to the madness.
Thank you.
This is Stephen.
Hello, Stephen. Nice to meet you. How are you?
Great.
Great, thanks, great.
Yeah, so thanks again for everyone listening to this episode. Obviously, it was our first interview with Ger. We'll probably definitely, as we said, have him back in a few weeks' time. I would say there wasn't a whole lot we could ask him right now. It's kind of...
Do you know what? He's just in the door. He is essentially has just come in the door, and we're sticking microphones in his face and stuff like that. So, as you said to him there towards the end, we'll definitely aim to get him back in a couple of weeks' time, and at which point we can talk about matches he's actually been involved in. But
he's still getting to know the players. He said that, like, you know, he's had one-on-one meetings with them, but he's only 2 or 3 sessions with them.
Yeah, about that, yeah. But you know what? It's still important, I think, that we got him in and that we hear from him, just because a lot of people, as you said at the start of the interview with him, a lot of people don't know who he is or had never heard of him until, what was it, last Thursday that we announced him. So good to get him in, good to get a bit of a background on him. Interesting. He was talking about looking at Sweden potentially for players. We had an influx of Swedish players a couple of years ago.
That's what I was thinking when I said that. Actually,
we could have them back. not those lads, but another few Swedish lads. We might need a blue and yellow away jersey next year, will we?
I do like though that he said he was watching the 17s and the 20s last weekend, and that has been a huge success for us over the years. In particular, we look at last season with Cahill coming into the team and the success of Jaden. Obviously, Jaden went to Benfica.
Yeah, Matty Kiernan is another one that's come up from the academy.
And there's been plenty more, which we've mentioned a few times on the podcast. But there's obviously some other talent coming.
Yeah,
and I'd like to see. You know, you could see that the way he looked at earlier there. I got the feeling that there's 1 or 2 he liked.
Yeah, but it's great as well, I suppose, as you mentioned, that he's out watching them. Look, that was 24 hours after he arrived in the country. He's jumped really 2-footed into it to immerse himself in the club and what's going on at the club.
Actually, I forgot to say it to you there. You were all over the papers, pictured with him, so you were next to him.
Do you know, at one point,
another famous coach with you.
At one point, there was a picture of me, him, and Heimer. So I was like, you know what, that's the 3 top dogs, like, you know, yourself.
Yeah, I meant to say that earlier on. We were talking about Irish setups and stuff, and Jake probably being called up to the Irish squad, a few others as well. That there you are. You're probably getting the inside track from the man himself.
Do you know what? I was literally, as I met him, that was the first time we'd met him, because obviously he arrived, he got into the country. And
just come on the podcast, yeah.
He was explaining, not yet. He had actually been in Cork the day before, Heimer had, because he was watching our training in Bishopstown. He was watching Cove. There was pictures of him down in Cove.
He was out training.
He was in Bishopstown. We didn't have any pictures of him up, but there was pictures of him down in Cove.
There's an exclusive there now.
People know he was in Cork.
He was scouting.
But I think that's good for an Irish manager, though. You know, you're getting around and getting to grips with the league and getting a look at all the clubs, which is great. But I was in there. I went in to introduce myself to Ger, and Heimer was there, and there's a nice little group in there, I suppose. But
it's good to see. It's good to see the international manager actually coming to the games as well. Like, and he seems to be there a lot. You know,
he's been at a few of our games. He was in Tala, which, you know, probably wasn't a great Cork City game for him to watch. He was at another one. I can't remember. Was he in Datum? I saw him at another City game recently enough as well. So to be fair to him, like, he's based in Ireland. He does go to a lot of games.
He hasn't been to Turner's Cross yet, has he? I don't know. I don't think he's been at a match anywhere. Like,
yeah,
unless he's been like on the under 21s.
No, maybe not.
I don't remember seeing him anywhere.
He's been to Bishopstown. He hasn't been to Turner's Cross.
Yeah, no, he has to. He'll have to make an appearance. But Stephen Kenny did when he was the manager. He was there.
He was down a few times. Yeah.
So, hopefully. And actually, before we forget it, obviously the podcast again. Thanks a million to the team here from the Crown Centre for hosting us as always.
Absolutely.
And I know they were all delighted to welcome Ger into the place where they go, and they were saying hello to him and stuff like that. Obviously, a new face to come into the building, but a familiar face to them was out here last week. I think we might have mentioned it, but I saw some of the pictures and the videos. Rory was here.
We were out here with Rory Keating. Yeah, he's helping to promote Walk and Roll is coming up. That's every year the Crown Centre have their Walk and Roll fundraiser where people can run, walk, or roll if you're in a wheelchair. Do your 5K, and did a couple of promo bits out here with some of the service users and Cork City fans, and obviously Paul Rick, who's a big Cork City fan, the CEO out here.
Huge,
so no, it was brilliant. There's a couple of the videos and pictures are up online now and floating around, and it's huge. It's a couple of weekends time. It's the weekend we're actually playing Bows at home.
Brilliant.
That's on the 13th, so it's kind of that weekend, the 13th to the 15th. The concept behind it is basically everyone's invited to do your walk and roll do a fundraiser if you want to do it that way, raise money for the Crown Centre. It's a brilliant initiative. We'll be supporting it as we always do. And if you want to learn more about it, it's going to be all over the Crown Centre social media. We'll have it up on our own as well. So brilliant to see, and we're delighted to support it.
Yeah, as I said, they're always so nice to us, and nice to everyone that comes in to appear on the podcast as
Absolutely,
well. So it's such a great community here. Staff are fantastic. So if we can support them, they do great things for people and families.
Fantastic facility as well.
It is, yeah.
You see, like even the playground at the back, which is
brilliant.
fully optimised for wheelchairs and people with additional needs that are coming out
I have
here.
to drag you away from it every week.
Yeah, all the time. I'm out there having the time of my life. But no, it's a brilliant setup, and as we mentioned, the podcast studio, which is
it's great.
We're getting great use out of it here.
Yeah, and next week we hit the episode 50.
Episode 50. It would have been great if we had the new manager for 50, but we either started the podcast too late, or we hired him a week too early for him to make the 50.
He's done a couple of interviews, and obviously by the time this comes out, his press conference and stuff like that. So we'll have to try and get out ahead of the press conference.
We all will have this out beforehand. Yeah.
So as we said already, thanks for listening. And what did we say last week? Subscribe. You know, it's important.
Ratings, sharing, everywhere, anywhere you can promote it. Help us to spread the good word. And
we've got back into the habit now of having a couple of guests, and we have some lined up in the next couple of weeks as well. So it might be a couple of surprise ones or whatever.
Busy few weeks to come. Yeah. And Stephen said might have a few surprises, but as always, make sure you leave us a rating. Comment on Spotify. You can comment now, which is great.
Comment now.
And wherever you're listening, if it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever it is, let us know. And we'll be back again next week.
Yeah, well, hopefully good results from Galway and from Belfast.
What a trip. I can't wait. See you next week.
See you then.